I love to read. I love to read so much that when I first became an English teacher, I forgot what it was like to be a student who hated reading. I would like to save others all the regret I have for the reading time I've missed out on. But don't read because I said so. Read because you've found a book you love. Some of you may immediately say, "Ugh, but I hate reading." I know you think that, and I used to think that too, but you're probably wrong. Storytelling is an innate human experience. Humans have been telling stories since before recorded history to express religion, mythology, and most of all because it's fun to tell or hear a story. Every child likes to be read to. I dare you to think of a child who doesn't want their teacher or parent to tell them a story. But somewhere along the way, the kids grow older and then they end up in high school and say things like, "I hate to read," or simply just, "Ugh." Somewhere along the way, that little kid who loves stories turned into a high school kid who cringes in horror every time their English teacher assigns a new book. Recently, I had a student literally twist his face in pain when I set a copy of Lord of the Flies near him. And for many students who hate reading, it's because they've been taught to. Famous American humorist and writer Mark Twain said, "The cat having sat upon a hot stove lid will not sit upon a hot stove lid again. But he won't sit upon a cold stove lid either." This is how kids have been trained. They've been forced to read books, and when someone makes you do something, they inevitably dislike it. I'm not going to lie. There are books I hate. When I was in high school, I was assigned Night by Elie Wiesel. I was 14 and my teacher was asking me to read boring, depressing Holocaust stuff. I hate Catcher in the Rye. Yeah, I know, it's an American classic, but Holden Caulfield is a pathological liar and I find him annoying. I hate Wuthering Heights. There isn't a single character in the whole book with a hint of redeeming quality. I know. I'm supposed to like them, but I hate them. I know there are people out there who would say to me, "But how can you hate such and such?" But tough. I hate it. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to dislike a book. The problem is when people turn "I hate this one book" into "I hate reading." So the question becomes, how do you convince a student to give a book a try? I maintain that one of the main reasons high school students today think they hate reading, even when maybe they don't, is because they don't know how to find the right book for them. Teachers of secondary students forget that you have to explicitly teach students how to choose the right book. First off, I know people have heard the expression, "don't judge a book by its cover," but that doesn't make sense. Of course you should judge a book by its cover. That's what covers are for. The publishing industry spends an ungodly amount of money researching, developing, designing, and focus group testing book covers. They're specifically targeted toward their audience. Take these two book covers, for example. There is no question what these two reading experiences are going to be like. On the one hand, I could go with a bloody, gory thriller, and if I like that sort of thing, I should go with the book on the left. If I'm more into a light-hearted love story, I should go with the book on the right. There is nothing wrong with using the cover to decide which book to read. Then, once you're comfortable that you might know something based on the cover, open it up and give it a shot. Think about reading the first 10 pages even. Common sense says a reader gets a pretty good idea of whether or not they're going to like a book after reading it for a few minutes. So if you like it, keep reading. If you don't, put it down. Simple as that. One of the best ways to find a book you like is to ask a friend, "What is someone else reading?" There's a reason books like The Hunger Games or Harry Potter or Twilight got so big. It's because someone read the book, loved it, and told someone else to read it. Ask a friend what book they like. Chances are, if they're your friend, you might like it too. Find your style. You'll figure out soon that there's probably a certain kind of book you like and certain kinds of books you don't. There's a reason you like that style, so stick to it. Read more than one book in that genre. Once you get better at choosing books, then you can branch out and try other kinds of books. Don't be afraid to get comfortable with your book either. Many students hate reading because they experience it only in a classroom. When I go home, do I sit at a desk straight up to read? No, I take a bubble bath or lounge by the pool. Most libraries have big oversized chairs for a reason. Get comfortable with your book. Once you try a book that you chose instead of one that was chosen for you, you might find that you actually like the book, maybe even love it. I love books because of the things they teach me. One of my favorite books is Pride and Prejudice. I learned about the kind of woman I want to be from Elizabeth Bennet. Books also teach me how to act. To Kill a Mockingbird taught me about fairness. I still think of it when I need the strength to remember that the right thing to do isn't always the easiest thing to do. Atticus Finch taught me that, but I couldn't have learned it without the youthful, naive voice that Scout told the story through. Both of these books have been turned into movies, and my students try to tell me they'd rather watch the movie. But watching the movie just isn't the same. There's a reason so many people are always disappointed with the movie versions of their favorite books. There's a reason the screenwriter and director can't fit everything in. There's also a little bit of science that might end up backing me up. Natalie Phillips, a researcher at Michigan State University, showed on BrainScan that when a person is engrossed in a book, she saw global activations across a number of different regions. It's only preliminary results, but I'm not surprised. I didn't always love reading as much as I do now. Man, do I love reading. It took me a while to figure it out because of all those times I was forced to read and someone else chose the book for me. I got burned like that cat. But don't be afraid when the stove's cold, too. There are hundreds of millions of books in the world, and you're bound to like one of them. George R. Martin has said, "A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one." I absolutely know this to be true. Already in my life, I've been to Narnia and Hogwarts. Even though my physical body has never been to these places, my mind has been to China, Afghanistan, Japan, and the Congo. I've even been to late 19th century Russia, even though I was only born in 1983. So if you remember one thing about all the things I've just said about reading, remember this. Read because you like to, not because someone told you to.